Is Restream working? I have no idea. Well, if you can see this, I've been trying to go live for the past couple of minutes, but it kept saying error, contact tech support. So for those of you who are tuning in, sorry that I am starting late. For those of you who gave up and was like, forget waiting, I hope that you catch this on replay because I am talking about a topic that I think all job seekers can benefit from today. So when you're on the job market, tons of data has shown that the chances of getting a job when you apply online are slim to nothing, right? Different statistics have been thrown out there, but the one I posted about the other day was that 1.2% of candidates will get hired off of applying online. So that doesn't give you a very good chance of getting the job. But when you use referrals, it jumps up to 28% chance of you getting the job. Now, I haven't quite seen any numbers on the chances of your job increasing when you do our ROI projects, but from clients I've worked with, I know it skyrockets your chance. And so today, I've got a guest joining me, Jacob Levy, who's trying to get logged back on after the technical issues today, to talk about how he works with his clients on making this happen. So let me send him the new link and see if we can't get this party started. So how I met Jacob, let me see if I can find how I met him. So let me see. Edit. I'm going to put this back up, but I want to screen share it too while he's waiting to join. So how I actually met him is I saw one of his clients' projects. Now, for those of you who have followed me for a while, you know that I have a couple learning disabilities. I'm dyslexic, have a speech impediment, and a memory deficit. So I follow hashtags like neurodiversity, and things like that, because I want to support people who are advocating for themselves and who are let's see. This is Jacob messaging me now. Sorry. Okay. So so I want to support individuals who are advocating for themselves and who are saying, yeah, my brain may work a little bit different, but I'm a rock star. So this is the client that I found. Let me share my screen and see how that works. Okay, so let me pull this up big. This is the post that I saw. It says, career coach, how do you sell yourself as a programmer trying to get into the cannabis industry? Me. And this is the post. It has all these hashtags, all these people, and this is the ROI project. So I won't play the full thing. Oh, now it's going big. Okay, maybe the technical issues were with my internet. So I'm not going to play the full thing, but that is what an ROI project can look like. You can make a post, or you can create a video that's specific to your work, or you can actually go and dig deeper and do something specifically for the company that you are applying to. So that is how I got introduced to Jacob. And today I want to introduce you to him because I am blown away by the work that he is doing, especially when it comes to the neurodiverse community. So for those of you who don't know Jacob, he says that he teaches job seekers of all abilities how to create content to be seen. So Jacob, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, Tegan, thanks for having me on. How are you today?
Yes, well, I'm slightly irritated by the technical issues that I've experienced this morning. But that's okay. We're gonna move past it. I've got my New Year's party bomber on. You're ready to go too. So I am excited. So Jacob, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Who are you? What do you do? What kind of clients do you typically serve?
For sure, thank you. I wear a few different hats. I am a career coach, special education teacher, disability advocate, and person with a disability. Um, so I used to help all job seekers. I actually started career coaching as a side hustle while I was teaching. And then I realized, wow, there's about 500,000 job coaches. And so I started to create a niche. Growing up with a disability myself, have definitely had quite a whirlwind with my career path. But as I was like struggling with my own job search, I figured out some interesting tips and tricks with LinkedIn. And I basically figured out how to hack the algorithm or the back end. Once I understood the behavior of LinkedIn, total game changer. And so I started playing around with it. I started just helping other job seekers um, for free, and I built up a following, a community, and then I started to tweak my interest and to start to tell my story, going up with the disability and how it affected my job search and all sorts of stuff. And once I started just being vulnerable and just pushing out my truth, that's when people started DMing me on the back end, like a lot of people. And it was amazing the type of response I got. That's the kind of thing I love about LinkedIn. It's not the same audience as Facebook or Instagram. It's business professionals. Like
Yep.
people aren't messing around. A lot of less political BS and things like that. It's very like business as usual. Um, and so now I'm on a mission to help specifically job seekers with disabilities. I just put out a series of posts this week specifically helping teachers. There's an unbelievable amount of teachers leaving the workforce. I'm actually still in education. I'm a special education teacher as a consultant. But the burnout is real.
Oh yeah.
The burnout is very real. And what's happening is a lot of seasoned teachers are retiring early. And it's the burnout from the pandemic, the remote setting, the incredible amount of applications they have to use just to communicate.
And parents maybe being a little bit of a pain in the ass.
Parents, pain in the butt, administration, just like, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But I won't get into that because that's a whole nother. But yeah, so I'm just super grateful that I met you and just listening about the work that you do and like similar paths that crossed. I didn't know about you, you didn't know about me, and then we just started talking and yeah, hit it off.
That's the beauty of LinkedIn. So, for those of you who are watching, go ahead. If anybody is still with us, sorry about the tech delays. Go ahead and type where you're tuning in from, comment where you're tuning in from, or if you're watching this on replay, go ahead and hit replay. If you have any questions, we'll DM you back afterwards to answer them since we're running a little bit late with the tech issues. But Jacob just said so many things. LinkedIn is powerful. And once you figure out how it works, you can use it to your advantage. And you can literally build a tribe to support you. And there's different content creators who are talking about different topics. And the best content creators tend to talk about their own journey. And that's an amazing tip for job seekers who are hesitant to let down their guard a little bit. You definitely want to watch what you say. It's because, like you said, it's not Facebook. It's a professional platform. You want to keep it professional, but also you want to get a little vulnerable. You want to share a different side of you because that brings the humanity back into the social media platform and will get you those DM messages to get people wanting to help you, wanting to offer you opportunities, or like in our cases, bring clients your way. Wow, you provide so much value. I want to learn more. How can I support your business? Can I work with you? On the flip side, for a job seeker, we need more people like you at our company. Are you looking for employment? Would you consider leaving your existing organization? And so you want to start cultivating those types of conversations on LinkedIn. And so we're going to get into that a little bit later. But first, I want to touch on something else that Jacob said. When you're an individual with disabilities, whether you can see them or they're invisible, the job search is hard. And the job search is hard for anybody in general, but it really sucks when there are some other obstacles that may present themselves. Jacob, I recently worked with a client who's hearing impaired, and the reason why she got turned down for the job is because she kept interrupting the interviewer, and the interviewer refused to put on the closed captions, like didn't set up the Zoom that way, even though she requested them. And he said, well, I don't know how to do this. The recruiter just set it up this way. And she was like, I'm sorry. I can try to read your lips, but there's going to be a delay because I have to read your lips. And just got so frustrated, was like, forget it. And this isn't for a client facing job. She would never have to interact with anybody. It's all remote. It's editing work. She gets documents, she reviews them and sends them back. I was so irritated. So, and I hear this client after client with disabilities that I've worked with, and I'm sure you have too. So I got a question for you, and it's a tricky one. What do you think is the biggest misconception hiring teams have about interviewing or hiring a neurodiverse candidate?
Ability. I think there's a ton of misconceptions. I mean, like you just said, when a candidate is hearing impaired, I think assumptions get made, right? But the fact that somebody couldn't provide a simple closed caption, I mean, I believe on Zoom, it's simply a click of a button. And I think more recently, they've included closed captioning, and it's very good. Google Meet has it as well. It's spot on. I mean, they pick up on everything. But yeah, I think the biggest misconception is also just like lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
A lot of people, to no fault of their own, they don't know how to accommodate a person who's learning impaired or with a learning disability. But what's interesting is like when you accommodate someone with a disability, it's not just helping them. A lot of time it's helping everybody, right?
Yep.
You're helping the world. You're helping everyone, just adding captions. Even a person of typical development, maybe that's how they learn, right? 3 different types of learners. You got visual, they got to see it. You got auditory, they have to hear it, or tactile kinesthetic. They have to physically grasp something. And we all learn differently. And as soon as hiring managers understand that, it's a total game changer. But it has to do with empathy and self-awareness. I
Yeah.
would say those are the 2 biggest things.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the majority of the time, if someone's applying to the position, is because they're qualified to do it. But regardless of your abilities or the way your brain works, you have to prove it. Like if you wouldn't buy a car before taking a test drive, typically you wouldn't buy a home sight unseen. You want to look through it, you want to make sure that the pictures you see online are really what the home looks like in person. That's the same way, and job seekers get so frustrated, and y'all are going to hate me for this. Job seekers get so frustrated with employers ask you to do a project in the interview. They're making me work for free and blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, they want to see a sample of your work. And if you don't produce that up front, how are they going to know that you're qualified to be able to do that? Yeah, you have a resume, but if you hired a resume writer like me, you're going to get through the initial screening, but that doesn't mean you can actually, there's ways to manipulate resumes to make C players look like A players. And there's A players who don't interview well. And so it gives a return on investment, ROI projects, gives people an opportunity to shine, to show what their true capabilities are. Now, you get frustrated when an employer asks you to do it in an interview process, but what a lot of people don't think about is doing them before the interview process. Having those projects be what gets employers interviewing you in the first place. And so, like I said in the beginning of this, while we were still trying to troubleshoot all these tech issues, um, is that's how I met Jacob, is from one of his clients. And I'll put the link up again if you want to see it, or go back and watch the beginning of this so you can see the duck project. That's how I met Jacob, is one of his clients produced an ROI project. And it was, hey, this is what I'm good at. I'll show you. Here's a project. This is what I did in this project, and this is how it relates. Now, this was a broad example, but you can actually get so granular. You can create a project for a specific company to get that company's attention. So, Jacob, I'm going to bring it back to you. What kind of content should job seekers be posting on LinkedIn or adding to their portfolio that is going to give them a return on investment for their time? So that way they're more likely to get traction, because just applying online, 1.2% of getting the job offer, having a referral, 28% of getting that job offer. We want to increase those chances of getting hired, and this is one way to do it. So what would you say?
All right. So first off, I love this question. This is my favorite part. One of my favorite parts of career coaching, as well as just listening to a person's story. Okay. So kind of relates back to being a special education teacher. Everyone learns differently. So what I like to do is what's called an interest inventory. So I will literally ask, what type of learner are you? Like I mentioned before, auditory, tactile, kinesthetic. The reason being is because you want to go all in with your strength.
Yep.
In special education in the disability world, in my experience, and this is more like on the education side, a lot is stressed on like the disability, but not enough is stressed on a person's ability.
Yep.
Right. So what you want to do is like, I can't tell you what your strength is, right? You have to, it's self-awareness. To quote Gary Vaynerchuk, who's an amazing marketer, you have to know what your strengths are. So if you're a visual person, great. My client, Brian Cass, he's like a little bit of everything. So he makes these amazing videos. He figured out, I basically showed him how to brand himself. He has an affinity for rubber duckies, which is awesome. And he figured out how to fuse like his awesome spray paint artwork with rubber ducks and coding. He's going for a front end and software engineering role. And so he figured out how to make these amazing videos with like video editing software.
They are awesome too. So definitely
They're
check them out if you're
unbelievable.
watching.
They are unbelievable. And I was like, you need to showcase this. He's like, but this has, it doesn't have it's artwork. What does it have to do with coding? I'm like, you got to bring everything to the table, right? And the same thing that goes with a resume. A resume is just the table of contents. What about your story? What about the beginning, middle, and end? That's
Yep.
what content creation is. You have to document your journey, your behind the scenes, your Q&As, your testimonials. That's you as a person. You can't just show them this is the front cover. You got to show them everything. And so that can get into like your personal life, what you like to do, your hobbies, your interests. But if you can, the macro is what you are seeking, right? And what you can do for employers. I always tell job seekers that LinkedIn is a platform that you must feed.
Yes,
You
that's
have,
part of the algorithm engagement.
yes. So I always say, like, you have to give more than you take,
Yeah.
right? Give to this platform, treat it like a garden. You got to plant seeds, but you have to plant multiple seeds and you have to keep watering it. So the planting and watering is your content. And then to keep it going, to keep adding water to it is your engagement, right? Liking, commenting, adding, things like that. When you comment, you always want to be giving, right? You don't want to say, hey, my name's Jacob. Here's my resume. I need a job. Well, so does, 500,000 people, 500,000,000 people on LinkedIn because they're on the platform. But you
Yep.
need to add some skin to the game, meaning what can you do for this employer that posts a job, right? A lot of people think when you post a job on your network, only your network can see it. Unless it's like totally private, posts are public. It's just job seekers don't know how to leave your network. You have to understand how to get outside your network. The beauty of it is you can have 0 connections, 0, and you can get found by anyone in the world. You just need to understand the behavior of the algorithm, LinkedIn, how it works. It's not rocket science. It's like a glorified Google search. And then you will dominate on the platform.
Yeah, exactly. LinkedIn is based off an algorithm. And so if you Google cat videos, chances are a dog video isn't going to pop up. So you need to produce content that if someone's looking for a cat video, that and you're posting cat videos, you're going to be the post that come up. But if you're not creating posts, it's not going to come up. And that also helps with Google SEO, because if you're creating an article that goes into Google search engine, then posts not so much, but it's still, you can feature your posts, you can engage on them. People are going to see them in their newsfeed, and that's a way to get found. And so there's projects like posting content. And then there's projects like actually creating a project. So I work with a lot of IT boot camps, all the way from entry level help desk, to data scientists, cloud engineers, architects, etc. So when somebody's learning entry level help desk, for example, maybe they post pictures of them setting up an office, underneath a desk, like picking up, a dust bunny, saying like, the work isn't always glamorous, something funny like that, that's going to resonate with people. Like you said, full circle, people want to be beginning, middle, and end. And as you advance throughout your training, say if you're in a boot camp, then continue to show, wow, I'm really struggling with learning how to do this aspect of the school that I am. So like right now, for example, I should have already finished, but really struggled with a piece of my program. And so I'm in an organizational leadership program, and had a very difficult time with one aspect of it. Posted about it, and then before you knew it, I had so many data scientists say, all you have to do is do this, and then you get the answer. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, that's it. I had to retake this class 3 times before I got it. And the funny thing is, I advocate all the time, ask for help, ask for help, ask for help. And it never thought, like, I work with data scientists, every quarter. I should have just asked one of them, hey, can you help me with my homework? How do I solve this marketing problem? And so, it doesn't have to be, oh, my life is perfect, like, Instagram. It can be, hey, I did this and I'm proud of myself. Hey, I'm struggling with this. So I like how you said 360, and you talked about interests in learning styles. How I do that in my coaching program is I call it the perfect fit. I went through what the academies. One of my certifications is through the academies. I mean, like back in the day when I worked for the government, I had all their trainings, but there's her name is Susan. If you ever want to just take continuing education, it's all through like neuroscience. And so she has the perfect fit analogy. FIT, what is your function? What are job titles? What strengths you have? What brings you fulfillment? What's your purpose? What's your cause in life? What industries interest you? Who's your identity? Who are you? What is your brand? And then T, what are things that matter? What's your compensation need to be? What does work-life balance look like? And what's your type, your personality type, like you were talking about? So both of us work in internal and external motivators to decide what content should people be posting and what kind of projects they should be doing. And so there's a really awesome career coach. His name is Austin, Cultivate a Culture, who calls them value validation projects. And he advocates for people to do super deep research on a specific company, create a project that's specifically for that company to really get that company's attention. And it works. It gets people hired. Now, I pride myself on working with ambitious professionals, but let's face it, not everybody has as much drive as the next job candidate. And so, even if you're not willing to do that deep of research, even if you're just open to creating a broad projects that says, "I'm a graphic designer. Here's some of my work," or I'm wanting to get into IT. Here's a screenshot of, a code I wrote or whatever, more generic projects, those work just as well, I found. So how about for you? What do you see when your clients do these ROI projects? What type of results do they get?
They get visibility, you know? And like you mentioned, I mean, Austin's content is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was reading his story, like he was at Microsoft and then he like started to do his own thing, which is incredible. Especially to leave a massive company like Microsoft, which is great. So a lot of, I think job seekers are like stuck in this bubble from like 1992, which is fine. And it's no fault to their own. I mean, who could have predicted a pandemic, right?
Right.
Well, I don't know, but um, uh, so so they don't know what to do, right? So some people have been in the same job for like 30 years. They have no
Right.
idea what to do, so they run to the job boards.
Yep.
Job board's a job board. I'm guilty of it too. However, the biggest problem with a job board is, I'll always preface with, in my opinion, you lose the human element, right? Clicking submit is not a skill. It
No.
never will be. Okay. There's even accommodations for people with disabilities to click submit, right? It's not, I don't think it's a skill. What's a skill? Take an awesome project you just created and chopping it up into bite-sized digestible pieces of content,
Yep.
right? Putting it on your resume with bullet points and dates of employment doesn't show the employer the skill, right? It might pass an ATS, but it doesn't show what you can actually, a problem you can actually solve for them right now.
Yep.
Resumes are like past and maybe present, but what about future? What about your current hustle, right? So why am I saying this? Why am I stressing this? You have to document it with content, right? That's how someone can really see what you do. My client is actually showing an employer, this is the code I can create for you. There's no cheat sheet. I am showing you what I can do. Like, and here's my end product. Show
Hmm.
people the product you can make. Don't just do a teaser, right? Actually show them, here's the product. Here's a problem I saw in the news 17 days ago. Here's a mock-up, right? Here's an MVP. Um, you have to show it, right? And I feel like it's not outside the realm of possibility. I think it's just something that job seekers don't think to do, because job seeking is a lot of work. It is a job in and of itself. So we get caught up in like networking and, going to seminars and blah, blah, blah. But like you have to, in a nutshell, you're not a job seeker on a platform like LinkedIn. You are a product or a service to an employer.
Yep.
I mean, that sounds kind of dehumanizing, but it's true. It's true. You can add yourself within your content, but you have to remember, like, you are advertising yourself as a product or a service.
Yeah. This
You
is
you
what I can do for your company. This is the problem I can solve for your company.
right. Give more, ask for less. If you just have this giving mindset, like someone will know you're looking for a job. You're pushing out your hustle, things like that. You don't have to like, you can shout it from the rooftops, but like instead of just saying, posting your resume over and over and over again, that's great. Now take what you do in your resume and apply it. Push it
Yep.
out in audio, video, LinkedIn articles, like whatever is digestible.
Yeah. It's ironic how okay, so last week Jacob posted about teachers leaving the industry, and it's so timely because I'm a part of a LinkedIn group called Job Connection Tuesday Collective. And so it's a group of recruiters and career coaches and job seekers who are all looking to work. And Teachers are leaving in drones. There's so many teachers who want to get into ed tech space, and they need to show, okay, like you said, yeah, the resume shows what you did in the past. I taught students. Okay, so now how do you translate that onto a corporate level? How prove it? Put up some of your lesson plans, put up some of your projects. I have a kindergarten teacher who's like, no, I want to go into tech, learn how to code, went to a boot camp, all this kind of stuff. Show your creativity then. Even if you are targeting a company that is adult education, if you show an amazing cat in the hat lesson plan, it shows that you've got that creativity. It shows that you understand the tech, that you understand the principles in learning, and it can be transferable. Now, you don't want to only post things about teaching little kids when your goal is to now teach adults. But you can have that diversity of posts to show that you're not a one-trick pony, and that you're not ashamed of your past, because a lot of times job seekers, especially that are in transition, try to hide what they've done in the past instead of embracing it as a strength. Everything that you've done in the past is transferable. It's if you're going from, being a fast food worker to breaking into tech, you've got the customer service skills that you need to do it. That's all you need. And highlight those things. Don't shy away from them. Um, and like Jacob said, if you can understand what problem a company has and solve for it, they can't ignore you at that point. You're going to go from having a 1.2% chance for getting the job applying online, a 28% chance of applying, of having a referral, to like a 95% chance, because chances are you're going to be one of the top 5 people going for second round, third round interviews, and are going to probably be asked to showcase your skills, whether that be if you're in tech and having to actually do a test, whether you're in sales and having to do a case study, or any of the other industries where you typically have to perform before they give you the formal offer. So I like the idea that you give your clients, Jacob, to start doing this in advance, and then when you get to the interview process and they ask you to do a project, you're so used to it. No problem, I got you. Actually, I can take things that I've already created and submit it, so it doesn't take as much time. So one of the things that you do is you actually have a podcast where you talk to executives and business owners and entrepreneurs and things like that have disabilities, and how they leverage that in the workplace. So just really quickly share with me, what is that about?
For sure. So I think it started sometime in the beginning of the pandemic while we're all sitting at home. And I figure like I wanna figure out a way to like obviously create more content, but do it in a way that's targeted to people with disabilities. I want to highlight job seekers, entrepreneurs, organizations, but all around disability. And so I just started doing plain old, interviews on Zoom. I'd record them, I'd cut and splice them myself on like iMovie. There's so many free apps out there. It's like your most valuable thing to anybody is in my opinion, your time.
Yep.
You can make money, you can spend money, you can't get back your time. So I had plenty of time. Like I just got furloughed from a consulting gig for a major automotive company. And I was like, I needed to just do my own thing. Like with this pandemic, everything is crashing and burning. And I know how to do it. Now I have no excuse. So I just cut and splice stuff. I used Canvas, iMovie. I was a jazz musician for a decade, so I know how to like make jingles and stuff like that. But you have to get, I think I came up with this analogy, but like job seekers always like, people are told, you got to think outside the box, right? It's a pretty common expression. Well, with job seeking, especially with a disability, there is no box,
Yep.
right? The box has been folded up, kicked to the curb, and ready for recycling. There is no box, right? So you got to get wildly creative, and employers will see that,
Yeah.
right? The funny thing is when I'm working with a client, the last thing, and plenty of people will disagree, the last thing I talk about is a resume.
Yep.
Because the resume is reactive because I ask a bunch of questions and the job seeker reacts. But the content and how you brand yourself is proactive.
Yep.
Right? Because you have to give me a lot. Right? I need to know a lot of information. So yeah, I just started pushing out different like podcast videos, interviewing people with disabilities. How did that happen? Vulnerability. You have to push your true self out on LinkedIn, and the organic reach is unbelievable right now. Um, but,
Absolutely.
but if you don't do anything, then nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's what I realized.
And your podcast is a perfect example of an ROI project. So say you decided I'm done with teaching special education. I'm done with being a career coach for individuals with various abilities. I want to go in and I want to disrupt um, the corporate space and become a consultant to make corporate environments more accessibility friendly, right? And your podcast now, it's an ROI project. You know what you're talking about. You've talked about various abilities and disabilities and all the different types of people and the things that they're able to accomplish and the way that they went about figuring out how to learn or how to navigate a space when they have to do things a little bit different than mainstream society. That is an ROI project. So when individuals are thinking, okay, well, I can't code. I can't code a video and then post it. I'm not an artist. I can't do something cool. Like in the example that we showed earlier and talked about earlier, you can have a podcast. Anybody can talk all day long. Even if you're an introvert like myself, you can talk about something. It doesn't have to be long. This is 30 minutes. I do 30 minutes every Tuesday. But even if you cut it down to 15 minutes, hey, I'm going to talk to you today about this. Get a guest on, then you have to do even less talking. Shout out to Jacob. So I have to do less talking. And it works. It really works. So having a podcast is another example of an ROI project that is a generic project versus a company specific project.
For
Now,
sure. Sorry to interrupt.
yeah, no, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say to help people.
Yeah.
You can do this. You literally like you got a phone, press record, right?
Yep.
But what you can do to make it even more content, press record. There's your audio and video, right? Now you can add captions for to accommodate people with disabilities, things like that. Then what you do is once you post that, you can pull out the only audio only, and then you have a podcast plus a video, and you
Yep.
repurpose it. Nobody's gonna watch. I mean, maybe LinkedIn Live, but you have to think about a person's attention span. If I didn't know the person, I probably wouldn't watch a 37-minute video, right?
Exactly.
So what do? Or let's say it's 36 minutes, just because it's an even number. Um, you chop it up into 18 2-minute videos, and then you do it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then you have, wow, that's 2 months of videos,
Yep.
right? So it's like less is more, and you can repurpose in different mediums, and people do it all the time because it goes back to people with disabilities helping everyone. Everyone consumes information differently.
Absolutely. So we got Sandy in here in the comments talking about her transition that she's working on. She's a horticulturalist to front end development. And so, front end, that's sometimes you're testing websites and you're ensuring browser compatibility and things like that. You can literally go on different, so like an ROI project for you, Sandy, is you could say, Tegan, let me go on your really crappy website that you really tried hard on and pulling your hair out on. I saw that comment when you said WordPress was going to be the death of you. Let me go on your website, troubleshoot a couple of things. Hey, Tegan, I saw this and I saw that, and that this is incompatible with that. And I'm going to be like, yeah, Sandy, I know it sucks, but I don't know how to freaking fix it. And you say, okay, let me help you. Let me walk you through it. Let me show you how to do it. So that 10 minutes that you just took with me, I'm now writing you a LinkedIn review saying, Sandy consulted for me on a front end developer project and blah, 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 blah. Now, when you're transitioning, You maybe just volunteered some of your time, or maybe even had a paid consulting role. Hey, let me troubleshoot these things for you. Let me rectify these issues for you. And then you can either sometimes barter. Hey, if I do this for you, would you be open to writing me a review about me consulting for you? You can do this with churches. You can do this with tons of different nonprofits. You can do this with friends' websites, whatever, whoever you think would be willing to write you a recommendation, and then do it for them, and then document it. Like he just said, break it down in micro content. Hey, I'm working on this person's project. We call them case studies in the industry. And here's what I was able to accomplish. And now you have examples of work that you've done that you can use as a portfolio. You've got content to show that you actually know what you're talking about. And now you have a recommendation, which is social proof that you did a good job and people want to work with you. Because Jacob's hinted to this a lot. People want to work with people they know, like, and trust. And part of asking the questions in the way that Jacob asked, where he says the resume is not where we start, it's what's your story? I call that clarity. The first step in anybody's job search is getting clarity on who they are, what they want out of life, and what the next step is. What do you want to do next? And then from there you can craft a story where you are, yes, incorporating some of the things in the past, but primarily focusing on what you want to do in the future, and making sure that you articulate that in a way that resonates with employers. And one of the things that resonates with employers is proof. Okay, here I can see the work. She shares her stories. I like this. This is funny. This is vulnerable. This is somebody I want to work with. And other people have said, yes, they've done work for her. Or she's done work for me. I want to interview this person more. And so this whole entire content creation on LinkedIn for job seekers, creating ROI projects that you post on LinkedIn or send directly to a hiring authority, they work because it's a holistic view of the job search process instead of just apply, crickets, quick apply, more crickets. All right, so Jacob, I know you got a couple days off of work, got your little ones at home, as do I. So I don't want to take up any more than 30 minutes of your time. So what advice would you give for somebody who's like, I have no idea where to start. I'm not creative. I can't think of anything to post on LinkedIn. I'm going to give you the floor and you can close this out with your final remarks.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much. Really appreciate the opportunity, Tegan. I can't thank you enough, especially, the amount of vulnerability I think that we've shared. I think that's what connected us. So I'm super grateful for that. There's a great line by Oscar Wilde: "Be yourself, everyone else is taken." So I love that. So yeah, the biggest piece of advice I would give to job seekers is, one, be vulnerable, right? Tell your story. Don't be afraid. The whole world is literally online. Maybe not the whole world, but like a massive portion is online. And a portion of them are decision making entities, hiring managers, directors, CEOs. Like, people are online. Again, you can have 0 people in your network and you will be found by people. In my opinion, it works by keywords.
Yeah.
Keywords are king and queen on this platform. They are he, she, them, they. Like, it rules the platform, because just like a Google search, that's a great way that you can get found, because somebody can type in a job title and a city. And if you have those keywords either in your profile or in your content, you can pop up in their search 100%. But here's the caveat: if you do nothing, then this advice is a moot point. Nothing will happen, right? So you need to take action. The easiest way to do that, and I'm not just going to preach about it, like, break apart any process that you do. Whether it's a project manager, an analyst, a graphic designer, it doesn't matter. Weaving baskets underwater, I don't care. Which, that's interesting. Break it up into tiny teaspoon sample size little spoons you get at the ice cream store. That size, break it up times 100 in a week. right? Or 50 in a week, or 20 in a week, or 3 in a day, right? People want to taste what you do before they go all in, right? Think it's an ice cream analogy, right? You're not just going to buy a king size of new flavor of the month. You want to taste it, right? So let people taste. This is going to sound weird. Let people taste your product. All right. I mean, that is a terrible analogy, because I just realized its connotation. But you have to let people like taste, what you offer, your product, your service, whatever, before
Get a
they
feel for it. People want to
got to feel.
feel who you are, and are you gonna like it? It's a feeling. A lot of job search is in the gray, and it's a feeling. So let them feel you.
Let them feel you. Let them feel you. But yeah, that's all I would say is uh, feed this platform. LinkedIn is my go-to, but whatever platform you choose, there has to be buy-in. You got to give before you can ask, right? It's kind of just like manners, right? Like simple manners growing up. Like you got to be polite. You got to give something before you ask for anything in return. And that's all I got. Mic drop.
Awesome. Well, Jacob, thank you so much for joining me today. For those of you who are tuning in or catching this on replay, be sure to follow Jacob at Searchable for You on LinkedIn. For me, you can follow hashtag Jolt Your Career to not miss a post. LinkedIn now has these bells, just like YouTube, where you can make sure that those posts are funneling into your feed. You want your post to be funneling into other people's feeds. So go ahead, start posting, have courage. You can do it. And now me and Jacob are going to go enjoy the rest of this holiday season, this end of the year, couple days off that we get to very rarely enjoy. So I'm ready for New Year's. I'm all,
Yeah,
shimmered out.
love your bedazzled, you know.
Yeah, I am not doing anything on New Year's Eve. I will probably be asleep before midnight. But since this is my last live before New Year's Eve, I figured I'd be festive.
I love it. And for all the parents out there, I think found out last year that Netflix has a a countdown, right? And you can do it at 7 p.m. if you want for your kids,
Is
which I
that
thought was pretty
so
awesome.
cute?
Yeah.
Yeah, because y'all are getting to bed. Mommy needs a break.
Amen.
Yes. All right, Jacob. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a safe New Year. Thank you for all the work that you're doing and your vulnerability with your own neurodiversity yourself. I am a huge fan of individuals who are willing to speak up and to help others learn and grow. So I appreciate all the work you do. I'm going to go ahead and end the live, but stay on for a couple minutes because there's a little bit of a lag for everybody tuning in. Happy New Year's. I will see you in 2022.